I'm joined today by one of my favorite songwriters of all time, actually, David Wilcox. David, good to see you again.
Thanks. Great to be invited, and happy to be talking about the old Vienna coffee house. I have great memories of coming by there.
Tell
Yeah.
me, tell me how small coffee houses like that. You got your start at McDib's, I think it was, and
Yes.
Passim and the old Vienna and Godfrey Daniels and these kind of clubs. How strong were they in the start of your career?
I was very grateful that the guy who ran my little hometown club, McDib's, he didn't choose musicians according to what would sell the most tickets. He told me that he chose performers for how it would influence the town that he lived in. And he thought he was uh, kind of giving this, like curating a inspiration for the people in his community, for sort of how they wanted their town to be, how they wanted their lives to be. And he was a remarkable individual. And he was, like a lot of people who came to Asheville for creative reasons, he found a way to keep the overhead low enough that he was able to make these creative decisions with that kind of freedom. And I'm so grateful. I was asking him one day, I told a friend about McDibs, and I said, just look it up, give him a call. It's a great place to play. And my friend said, it's not in the phone book. So I mentioned that to David Peel, the guy who ran McDibs. I said, how come you're not in the phone book? He said, I'm in the phone book. I said, it's not under like tavern or bar. He said, oh, no, no. I said, well, you're in the yellow pages? He said, oh, yeah, under kites. What? Because there were kites that were hung from the ceiling. I always thought it was for acoustics, but apparently they were for sale. He said, yeah, kites. I said, why? He said, well, I was listed as a bar at first, but it just drew the wrong kind of people. Oh. So
That's
my
pretty
favorite
special.
things, my favorite things about playing at a place like that, I would play three sets. And at the end of the third set, we would just gather, and the people who were still there at 1 o'clock or whatever it was would just start singing together around the tables. And so, David Peel, he had a kid. he he would come by and put the key on the table and say, I got to go home. Just leave the key in the mailbox. You know what to do. And he would leave and leave us to, play music until 2 or 3. And that was a great tradition, that kind of trust and that kind of playful kind of the experience of uh, being there. And the most important thing, I think, was that I had a steady gig because I said, the place was open like Thursday through Sunday. I said, why don't you let me play Wednesdays? Just play every Wednesday and we'll just charge nothing. He said, no, no, we got to charge something. I said, let's charge like $1. He said, no, no. Tell you what, we'll charge 10, but we'll say money back guarantee in big letters. And I said, okay. So I got to do this residency where I was playing every week. And it's a hometown crowd. So you can't play the same set. You got to come up with new stuff. You got to learn other people's songs. You got to write new songs. You got to do them differently. And that was the thing that made music such a deep sort of well for me that I had to come up with brand new stuff all the time. I loved it. And it was such a great challenge to have that. And so one night, some guy listened all three sets and he comes up to the bar after and he says, I want my money back. And David Peel goes over to the tambourine where the cash was and he lays it right in front of the guy. The guy says, slides it back across the bar and he says, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to see if you'd do it.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, there were, that was the late 80s and the 90s was like an incubator of all this amazing songwriters and performers that were coming up through some of these small coffee venues. In fact, you mentioned, um, your hometown area. There's a guy down there who I think you might have introduced me to him. One of my favorite albums is Archaeology by Chris Rosser,
Oh
who
yeah.
never really, took up here because I don't think he traveled up here. But what a wonderful album. Did you mentor him?
Oh, not at all. No, he's a much better musician than I'll ever be.
Oh,
And he of course has this spectacular studio, very humble on the outside, but a great place to make a perfect record. And he has amazing patience and spectacular musicianship. When he was still in Charlotte, he had this gig doing sort of backing tracks for karaoke.
hmm.
So he would basically do all this stuff MIDI and do all the instruments. So his job every week was to listen to all the most popular songs and basically take them apart, figure out how they work, and put them back together. What an apprenticeship. Can you imagine?
Wow, that
I mean,
you're forced to learn.
yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing about these small venues that I loved so much, that there was this artistic freedom. There was not a big risk. You didn't have to like, oh, what's my best set? You could like try this song that's not even finished yet and just like, okay, it's no harm done. There's only 100 people here, you know? And uh, back then, of course, it was not going to be recorded on somebody's phone. So just try whatever.
That is fun. I remember being backstage at the Me and Thee, and Sean Colvin was playing that night. This is really early in her career, and she said, "I want to play you this new song. Tell me what you think." And of course, it turned out to be Steady On. I said,
Yeah.
"You've been waiting for the one with the hook that's going to be the commercial success. I think that's the one."
Wow.
So all these in small coffee houses. That's great. Hey, listen, you did something really cool that I find fascinating and don't think I could do. You spent what was it, a year and a half traveling with your young family at the time in an Airstream trailer touring the country. How
Yeah, it was
special
two
that must
years.
have been. What an amazing way to bond and cement, your relationship.
I
Wow.
agree. Yeah, it was totally wonderful. Nate was 12 and 13 when we did that. And it was a lovely time. We saw all the national parks and we visited lots of friends and then friends of friends. And we would get these wonderful invitations, uh, on recommendations from other friends. And we'd show up at a town we'd never been in, and there'd be people in the front yard saying, "Here they come." It
Oh,
was great.
cool. That's cool. And that was a kind of fit a lot of the eco lifestyle that I think that you emit, I think a lot. It's you worked on waste. Is that a biodiesel vehicle?
Oh, yeah. Well, that was a long story, but yes, it was a bold endeavor, and it was one of those times where if you got in at the very beginning of that, it was really cool, and then once everybody was doing it, then it no longer worked. But that was all right.
That's cool. The thing that I've always liked about your songwriting from the very early days, and I think it continues now, is somehow you have this magical way of weaving two and sometimes more completely different thematic things into the same song with one
Mm.
common denominator lyric. The Eye of the Hurricane is an amazing
Mm.
example. I don't know where that comes from, but how do you approach your songwriting? What is it a phrase that you hear, a turn of a sentence?
um, the songs are the strange little byproduct of a spiritual practice. The songs are not the goal. They just kind of show up as a way of um, sort of strengthening the connection between heart and mind. So, if I have a question about something, if there's some sort of restlessness in my heart, I come to this quiet room and this empty page, and I just get quiet. And I play the guitar as an excuse to sort of ask my heart, hey, is there anything you've been meaning to tell me while I've been busy? And that practice is every day, early in the morning. Um, and so when I do that, what I get from it is the ability to know my heart, the ability to know what I'm feeling. Um, and yes, I use songs as a way to sort of an excuse to spend that time. But the thing that I get from it that has really changed my life is that I have learned how to bring that whole sort of navigational uh, awareness to all the decisions in my life.
Mm.
And I think that our sort of internal spirit GPS requires head and heart. And the fact that for me it was a stretch to know what I was feeling because for a lot of ancient reasons, I sort of froze in my heart in my childhood, and so music was the way that I could feel things. And because I had that one opening to my heart, music, I used music as a way to open that channel so that I could have my whole navigational system working. And for me, uh, conversations with friends where they are at a moment of change and I want to sort of be a catalyst for that change and help them kind of come to this clarity that they're working on. That's really the start of most of my songs now. And of course, what I'm reading and um, so the craft of songs comes from a love of storytelling. And I have this quirky way of thinking about songs that, in my opinion, poetry is sort of the most exacting kind of language. And some people think poetry is a very sort of slack and forgiving language, and you can just throw a word salad out and people will make of it what they will. I can't do that. I can write those, but I can't sing them because I don't have this assumption that I want to take up somebody's time with something that I don't even know what I'm trying to give them. And so I have this very strange, unusual attitude about like songs have to be really clear. And I know that statistically I'm wrong. I know that songs don't have to be clear, but for me they do because
Mm.
I need a great excuse to get up in front of people and sing because I don't trust that my voice is worth hearing. I trust that the ideas are worth hearing and my voice will just have to do because it's the only one I've got. That's the way I come at it. And so for me, it's always been first and foremost about knowing my heart.
It's kind of a turn and a twist to the song title, The Language of the Heart.
Ah, yeah,
Is it
I
not?
like it.
I took this guy that I was managing to see you at Night Stage. He came to the open mic and he played a song and he knocked our socks off. And I said, "There's this guy I want you to see. He's playing at Night Stage. I've got a pair of tickets. Let's go see David Wilcox." He goes, "Oh, I know David Wilcox. I've seen
Yeah.
at William and Mary. I used to see him all the time." And if I'm not mistaken, you were a little floored to see him sitting in the front row. You started your set and you said, "Wait a minute, are you Greg Greenway?" And
Well, I
that
used to go hear Greg all the time, and I really loved his music. That was a big inspiration for me in
that
about
was
1978
that for him
at
to
the
hear
Blue
that at that
Parrot.
time. Man, he was floored by that. I still am. God.
He's so
And
good.
and I want to give you a little nod of thanks. Um, D. Karstensen opened for you at Sanders Theater, and that must have been
Yeah.
a little interesting for the audience to come in and see a concert harp on stage for a sold out David Wilcox show. And an opener wasn't needed, but I turned Ellen Friedman's, I talked her into it, and man, that was a pretty special night. David, thank you very much for a lot of things. Your music's been really important to me throughout the love of the music that I've had for the last 30 years, and I recommend you an awful lot to people, and I hope that some of them come to your shows and enjoy that. And I felt really special to be able to share a part of your travels when I was really in a place to do so.
Yeah, thank you. And I'm so grateful for people like you who are do that bodhisattva thing of saying, "Yeah, I play music, but wait, you should hear this guy." And that's that's a beautiful thing, and I'm very grateful.
Appreciate your time today. I'm going to come see you next time you're up around this way. All right.
Great. Thanks.
David, thanks a lot, man. Enjoy the day.
Hi, this is David Wilcox. You know, this Old Vienna reunion shindig is going to be really fun. And if you want to contribute to that, and it's good for your community, check out the Old Vienna reunion concert.
But she can hide in the pouring rain. She rides the eye of the hurricane.